Hi there, Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here. Welcome to 212 of our Be a Better You annual challenge. Today is our last day focusing on mental health and well-being, and we're finishing it up with the IDEANCE process, step 7, which stands for E for educate. Educate meaning share what you've learned, share in order to reinforce the learnings for yourself of what we've learned and how we've covered the IDEANCE process. Because teaching and sharing, and it doesn't have to be in a formal way, but formal way is awesome. Hop online, share a video, or write a post about your experience using the IDEANCE process. What worked for you, what didn't, the steps you struggle with, or the steps that were just a breeze for you, so that other people can learn from your example. Educating and sharing, I've actually known this for a long time. I knew and learned in college when we got together in study groups and discussed the things that we were doing, especially in engineering classes, or things that were really theoretical and kind of hard to grasp. For me, it was physics, which is crazy. But we would have study groups and we would talk things out, and people would explain it in their way of seeing it and understanding, which somebody in the group you would usually click with. And then all of a sudden the light bulb would go off and you'd be like, oh my gosh, I get this. And that's how we learned to understand complex concepts, solve problems, brainstorm, look at things from different points of view and different perspectives, all of which reinforce our understanding and our mastery of a topic or a process. So today we are going to reinforce our learning and understanding by sharing it with someone else. You can teach it to somebody else. You can share it with somebody else. You can write an article. You can write notes in your notebook. If you don't want to share it with anybody else, you can go on social media and create a post about it. You could create a carousel about it on LinkedIn. Whatever works for you to reinforce your learning and understanding of the process. We're going to do it a few more times this year. I guess we're only in July, so we're going to do it, 7 more times, not 7. August, September, October, November, December. 5 more times for sure to make this tool your own. If you have any questions about this, if you're struggling, how do I take this mental health thing, this goal I'm working on that I want to achieve by the end of the year, and really apply the IDEANCE process, hit me up and ask. I've got some good ideas. I've got some strategies that I have personally used to help me, especially with the things I'm resisting doing or changing. And frankly, mental and emotional things for me personally fall into that category where I'm going to find ways to undermine myself instead of actually going deep and working on and getting it done faster. I always get it done by the end of the year because I commit and hold myself to that and accountable to that. But I will drag some of these things out if I'm not comfortable with them, and I'll let other things be a higher priority. Sometimes we have to become more self-aware and just sit back and say, okay, why am I resisting this? Why am I putting this off? And I have a story about a workbook I was doing from Lynn Grabhorn following my sudden cardiac arrest. And she recommends that you go through the book and do each of the exercises in order and not move on until you complete the exercise that you're working on, because she's got them in a way, she's passed away, but she created and wrote the book in a way that helps us transform different areas and aspects of our life to get what we want and create the life that we want. And I got stuck on an exercise for like months. I think the first time I went through that book, it took me almost 2 years to get through the whole workbook. And I've done it again since then, and it didn't take me that long. But I procrastinated between 2 and 6 months on one exercise because I didn't want to face up to it and I didn't want to do it. And of course, consciously, I wasn't really aware that was why. But then I finally got myself to actually take action and do that exercise because I wanted to get the rest of the book done. I wanted to get the transformation that was in the book. And once I did it, I think it took me like 15 minutes maybe to do the exercise, and then I was done with it and the floodgates opened and I flew through the rest of the workbook. But I had old shadows and old things in my life that I didn't want to own up to, my part of it, right? I can't take responsibility for other people's part in it, but I had things in me that were still holding myself accountable and blaming me for things that were outside of my control and that I didn't even do. And I needed to let go of that so that I could do that exercise and move on. So I challenge you to not procrastinate, especially in these areas of the life framework that we personally struggle with a little bit more. I struggle more with the mental one. I have to work really hard and have a lot of habits in place to keep myself getting up and going and moving forward and having progress. And you might be like that, you might not. Maybe this area is a breeze for you and you're much wiser and smarter than I am. But if I can help you, ask. Otherwise, go out, make it an amazing day. And I'll, of course, be with you tomorrow. And tomorrow, we are going to hop into the emotional area of our life framework. So emotions tomorrow. We're doing everything mixed up this year. I just blew it all up this year to do everything in a different order. And there've been some advantages to that, but then there's been some things that I wish I would. I always start with physical. Usually the first month of the year I do physical because our physical is such an integral part of us. And now I think I'm doing it last. I'm not sure. Anyway, it's in my notebook. Ask if you need help. Otherwise, I'll be with you tomorrow. Bye.